Hey there, this is John Barton from JB Cases. Today, I've come to you guys to talk about something that annoys me. Um, it's not good practice, in my opinion, and frankly, it's deceptive, in my opinion. Um, Sometimes, and I'm struggling with this a little bit because I can't mention any names. All right, I could mention names, but I wouldn't be in any legal trouble if I did. Contrary to some people's opinions on that front. But in just to just to avoid any major hassle. Um, and frankly, I'll be frank with you guys. Uh, just to avoid getting into some kind of war with this company over the critique of their product. I'm going to stay completely far away from mentioning any names. Um, and when I say war, I'm going to be very clear. This company probably makes 10 15 times the revenue that I do, or more even than that. So to them I'm pretty small, and they could divert a part of their revenue probably just to devoting themselves to spending money just to wipe me out. How that might occur, I don't know. I mean, I think we're on pretty solid ground right now, with all of our loyal customers. So I don't think they could really wipe me out, but I mean, if somebody really wanted to spend money, it wouldn't take much to impact us in a few negative ways. So, you know, I will openly admit that more or less for no other reason than just out of fear, I'm not going to name this company. But what I'm going to tell you consumers is that you should be wary of famous brand names who use flowery language to describe their products. If they use hyperbolic language like, um, ultra premium protection, or unique this or that, or never been done before, that sort of thing, you might want to really look beyond their words to you and look deeper at the product before you buy it. Because a lot of times, what they write, what they're trying to market to you, is not actually delivered in what you get. Sometimes it may be a beautiful design, it may look awesome in pictures, and then matched up with their words, the famous brand, you might buy it, right? So last week I got a phone call from a customer who said, I bought this case, X brand, and I'm not happy with the interior. He said, is there any possibility that you can replace the interior with one of yours? And I said, yeah, I think I could do that. At first I said, just send me the measurements of it and everything. And then finally I said, just send me the case. Let me look at it and see what I can do. So he did. He sent me the case, and I'm not going to show you the case. So if you're getting your hopes up here, don't, because I'm not going to put this case on camera. As much as I'd like to, I'm not going to put it on camera. Not going to mention the brand. But I am going to talk about the interior without mentioning the brand. Anyway, so the customer sent me some pictures of the interior, and I was like, wow, really? It's pretty weak, compared to their description of their case. So I got the case. Okay, got it. And this was the interior that was in it. So I'm going to fold this down a little bit so you can see it. This is the the upper part, the part that you can put the cues into, right there. So has a little bit of padding on here, a little bit, right? Small amount. Inside's not really padded, right there. So right in here is not very padded. Now it would have a little bit more structure because it would be over a tube, which I'm going to show you in a moment. But basically, it's just thin material over what appears to be kind of a very thin piece of EVA foam, possibly, right in here. And that, right there, extends down to about right here. That's it. Below that, we have just thin nylon. I don't know if you guys can tell how thin this is, this nylon, but here's a piece of paper for comparison. You see the edge of the paper? See the edge of the nylon? Look how thin that is. That's all that's in here at the bottom of this thing. All the way down, it's just thin nylon. See? That's it. I haven't doctored that or done anything to it. That's exactly how it was pulled out of the case. Basically, it would go up to about right here, like this. It'd be up to about right there is where it goes over the tube, and then when you look inside, it looks like this. Sorry, I took it out because I was experimenting with a... See if you guys can see that. Good. Okay, there we go. That's what it looks like inside there. That's it. So that's just thin nylon is all that is. And not only that, it's got a different like texture on both sides. So who knows how either one of those will affect it. It looks like kind of a glossy texture on this, like what's on the outside here, and a matte texture on the other side. So it's not the same on both sides of it. So basically, when the cue goes inside, it's touching like both sides of the material, which you know, it could mean nothing. It couldn't do anything, or it might mean that whatever this is finished with on this side or whatever might react funny with the cue. I don't know. I don't use nylon like this in my cases, so I don't know how it'll react. But let's just assume that it's benign. It won't do anything. Okay. But what upsets me is the company says they have you know, ultra great protection, and I'm not using the exact words, okay, because I don't want you to go in and type in the words that I say and be able to find this company. That's how scared I am of them, actually. You know, and I don't have any real reason, you know, necessarily to be afraid of them, other than I just simply don't want to be in any kind of a case war with them. But anyway, the point is that they say basically they take, you know, that their case has premier great ultimate protection, whatever, and that's not it. I'm sorry. That is not premium protection, as you would call it, you know, or ultra super great protection or the best protection or whatever. It's nowhere close to any of that. Those descriptions do not fit this. You know, this is literally just a thin nylon bag. That's it. That's all it is. And with a tiny bit of padding right here. So the point that I want to make with this is if you put your cues in here, right, you've got no padding down here. It's from here all the way down, you got no padding. So, okay, there's a little bit of padding in here, and there's a little extra, you know, foam rubber possibly in here, a very thin piece. So if the case gets jostled around, then, okay, right here might have a little bit better protection. It might keep the cues apart. But what's keeping the cues from hitting each other down here? I mean, if you put this in right here as a means of protecting the cues from protecting the parts one from the other, then why did you cheap out and skip out on the foam rubber down here? Does that make sense? I mean, think about it another way. Here's another way that I think of this. If a customer looks into this, he looks into that and he goes, okay, yeah, that looks okay to me, right? He feels it a little bit and he feels a little bit of padding in here on the sides. He's like, yeah, that feels okay to me, right? Okay, let's assume somebody says that. I'm sure that if you flip it over and you presented them with this, if they were presented with this, I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't like that. You know, I don't think there's just about anybody on the planet who agrees that that's much protection, if any. You know, it's like the barest amount of protection you can provide for a pool cue in a pool cue case. That. So my thinking on this has always been, if a case maker is not willing to turn their case over and show somebody what's in the bottom of it because they know, or a brand who brings in cases, whatever, if you're not willing to cut the bottom of your case off so that people can see what both ends look like, then maybe it's because you know deep down that they're not going to be happy with what they find at the bottom. So this customer sent me these pictures. He took the interior out himself, sent me the pictures of it, and he goes, I can't believe this, you know, from this brand, and you know, can you help me? He goes, I want to try the case. I don't know if it's practical yet. I don't know. I just, you know, it looked kind of neat to me, so I bought it, is what he said, which I can understand. People like looks. But he said the protection is crap on here. In other words, there's no protection. So this was the interior, and this is not done yet, okay? This isn't done yet. So this was the tube that was in it, and I've covered half of it or a third of it with this blue cloth right here, because this is one of our interiors, and I've sort of modified it, not really modified it, but I figured out how to make it work for this case, for this tube. So you can see it's a kind of a rectangular tube there. The reason the cues are sticking out here is because the tube itself is actually only 28 inches long. So what that means is that if you take a 30-inch shaft or a 28-inch shaft, 29-inch shaft, I'm sorry, you're going to get about an inch and a half out of here if it's all the way down at the bottom right here. So you see me poking that through right there. Now, this case had this cardboard at the bottom. So this was the bottom. It's taped up with like foam rubber here, so closed cell foam. Not even closed all the way on here, so it's already tearing up. And then it has like a piece of cardboard here. So we got another piece of EVA and another piece of cardboard. And then we have this piece, which is a plug inside that went inside the bottom of the case. So basically with the plug inside, it would push the parts up about a half an inch, another half an inch, pushing it above the top right there. So that's that. And then the cardboard was just taped on like this, basically, and taped around. You know, it had tape around it, so it wasn't super flimsy, but it was basically, that's it, you know, with the cardboard taped on there. Now, here's the thing, right? Because there's no real padding in the case, every time that someone drops their cue in there, it's going to impact that bottom, and it's going to tear the bottom out. You know, so eventually the tape or whatever's there is going to give way because there's nothing there stopping the force from slowly eating away at it. Plus, the way the case is put in, inside the fabric is going to kind of mess with the tape and everything too. So it's not securely fastened in there in a way that is meant for longevity, because whoever made the case doesn't really think like that. They don't think about all the times the case is put down hard, shifted around, stuff falls on it, dragged out of a car, whatever. They don't think about that. How many times the case falls down, all these things that impact the integrity of the construction of the case, including the interior, they just simply don't think about it. And I assume that, you know, Brand X company, their people, all they seem to be concerned about is the way the case looks, and they don't know, or they don't bother to inspect the case enough to figure out that the way the case is built doesn't exactly match their description. Or let me put it a different way, it's far away from their description. So with that in mind, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this interior in. So you'll see this is the Ultra Pad interior right there. That's our interior. You'll notice the cues are not falling out, right? So they're secure. If I shake the case, you hear nothing because there's padding all the way down. So when you open up the bottom of our case like this, you'll notice that when we use tubes, we have padding at the top, a little extra padding, and then at the bottom, see how you can pull that out? We have padding all the way down. Every section is padded in here, all the way to the bottom. Now, I'm not going to cut the bottom off of this to show you, but I've done it in other videos. You can see that there's padding all the way down to the bottom, so nothing moves in there. Our tubes are made with white PVC inside. The reason it's white is because that way we know that nothing's been added to it, no adulterants. What I mean by that is, a lot of times, you know, a lot of recycled stuff will end up back in China, and plastic stuff, toys, whatever, right? And they'll just be shredded and turned into little chips. And those chips then will be put into a hopper and remelted together into forms like this, like a tube. But the problem is that depending on those materials, the tubes that come out are wildly inconsistent. Some of them pretty strong, some of them okay, and some of them are really brittle, like you could just squeeze it and it cracks easily. Because the material has a lot of impurities in it, there's a lot of differences in the plastics. So even though they melt together and they look like pretty solid, the structure inside actually can be really weak. It can have a lot of weak spots in it. So I learned this the hard way. I didn't know that, you know, then I learned it the hard way, and the only way to get pure resin for these tubes is to use white. Well, you can get pure, of course, if you're dealing with a company, but the only way that you absolutely know that you've got pure, unadulterated material is when you get pure white. And I assume clear as well, you know, I would guess. Although I don't really know on that one. Anyway, that's what I understand. And so since we started using white, we don't have any problems with our tubes. You know, we don't have any problems. They do exactly what we want them to do. They're very resistant to breaking. We've jumped on top of them. You know, we try to break them, and it's hard to do it. So we're very happy with the strength of our tubes. And so that's something else that you don't really know about. You know, I mean, when these guys build these cases and they talk about protection, they don't even factor in really whether the tube or not is actually good or not. Now, 28 inches is the size of this tube. Well, the case itself is sort of like a semi-hard type case, which means that the top part has a zipper, it goes over here, and it's like air inside. So there's almost no protection. There's a little bit of cardboard protection on there, but in my opinion, not nearly enough. And so all this is exposed right here. So now not only in that other interior do you have the cues with the ability to move up and down and side to side, but you've got a really weak protection for this part of the cues. So in this situation, there's not really a lot that I can do about that because of the way that case is built. So the interior is going to go to this. I'm going to cut this off right here, tape it up. Everything's going to be nice taped. I'm going to put the foam rubber back in there, tape that up. I'm going to tape it up in such a way where it's almost impossible to break that piece off by accident. So my customer really won't have to worry about it with this interior in there. And we basically just made it a lot more secure with the addition of the JB UltraPad interior. So as you can see there. So yeah, I'm just going to finish this up. I know I've been sitting here talking for a while, like 20 minutes, I can see it. With buyer beware, I guess, is the best way I could say it. I wish that I felt at liberty to really name names here, but there's there's another reason why I'm not going to do it, and it's because, as my wife said, she said, stop telling all these people how to fix their cases. And that's another issue, I guess. On some level, we need to bring it back, but on that level, this case, promises like lots more storage options and all this other stuff, and I just want to remind everybody that a lot of the things that you might see on other cases now, a lot of those things are things that we've been offering for years. So I do a terrible job of marketing all those things. But if you want longer pockets, taller pockets, wider pockets, you want pockets that zip all the way in the middle and open up, we do it. We do all of that. And we have all kinds of accessories that do everything that these guys' stuff does and does it better. I look at it like they're copying us on a lot of levels. Of course, people would dispute that. You can always go back and you can find, this case had extra pockets or that, whatever, right? I just say that whatever it is that we do, we try to do it better than any other version of it that we've ever seen. If anybody had done it before us, or if anybody does it after us, we still try to make sure that the way that we're doing it is offering the best convenience, the best practical use, and the best protection that we can. We're always open to suggestion about how to change things, how to make things better. Anybody has an idea, just tell us. As a matter of fact, that's where a lot of our features come from, is customers coming to us and saying, hey, I really wish my Q case could do this. And we're like, okay, let's figure that out, and we'll make it happen. And then if it's something that we think we can do all the time, for a relatively modest price, we do that. And that's how a lot of our little accessories have come to be, just by solving customers' problems. So that's the other thing I would say to you guys is when you are looking around on the web and you are reading these descriptions on there and you're looking at these pictures, just remember that a lot of these things, they might be just this company's best guess at what would be useful for a pool player, right? It might not even be something they've ever actually used themselves or ever thought about or thought out themselves. So when you see these, this has got great storage here and you got lots of space and you can do all this, just remember that you're getting something that's being pushed to you by a company that designed it not through, and I say this loosely, okay, I don't know for sure, right? But I would guess that the design on these cases is not done through customer suggestion and prototyping, and back and forth with the customers. I would guess that it's more of a internal committee decision to design these, and the practicality. At least I have to say this out of my opinion, right? Especially seeing this case that I just saw today, it doesn't seem to me like it was designed truly with true user input, based on the impractical way that the case is designed. So yeah, there's a lot of pockets and there's a lot of little storage spaces and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it's truly not very practical the way that it's all laid out and designed. However, and I'm going to be a little vain here, I can see what I believe to be some of our influence making its way into that design, just not properly implemented. So I would say, I guess my final advice on this right now is just if you decide to buy a pool cue case online from a famous brand or anybody, actually, make sure that you've got a money back guarantee. Make sure that you've got a no hassle way to send it back if you don't like it. And that includes actually like loading it up and using it for a day or two or a week so that you can understand all of the things that aren't right. I mean, guys, listen, I understand buying stuff on whim, looks, it looks pretty, whatever. And I understand getting something and going, oh yeah, this really doesn't work like it's supposed to, or it doesn't suit my need. So my thing is that wherever possible, I try to buy stuff where I can take it back if I really just can't use it, if it doesn't work for me. And I would suggest that you guys do the same. With us, you're always welcome to do that. You can send it back for a full refund, except for custom stuff, okay? When you customize it, you own it, all right? We will repair it or replace it if it needs to be. If something's broken on our part, we did something wrong, the lifetime warranty totally applies. So there's that. But we do encourage our customers to go find somebody who's got a JB case or, where they can see JB cases so they know what they're getting before they ask us to customize their case or custom decorate their case. And then if we took that back just because, then of course we would have a case that would be really tough to resell. So therefore I tell people, be really sure that that's the case you want, the pockets, everything's the way you want it, before we put your name on it and stuff like that. Otherwise, if you buy a case from us, or if you buy a case anywhere, if you want to send it to us, and it's brand new, and exchange it, you pay the difference. Or if you want to get a credit for the amount of the case, we don't care. We don't care because we know that we can sell that case somewhere else. So it doesn't bother me. As long as the case isn't used, I can turn around and sell it to someone else. So that's another thing you've always got from us for sure on that. So if you buy a plain case somewhere sight unseen and you say, dude, I really can't hack it with the size of these pockets. I wish I had bigger pockets or something like that. Send the case to us and we'll give you a credit for the retail price of the case. And we will then, you can just build a case if you want. And you can say, I want the pockets to be this tall, this long, whatever. And whatever the price difference is, if there's any, you'll just pay that. So that's a possibility. That's what you get from a custom case maker. All right. Well, that's a lot of talking. So Karen, there you go. I didn't mention their name. I didn't show their case as much as I wanted to. And that's it. So to my customer who sent me the case, this is what your interior will look like. Now you will have a little bit more capacity in there. You can also now get 3 butts and 6 shafts in the space, and you'll notice that everything on here is fully separated. Nothing is touching, and everything is, as I said, perfectly secure. So nothing to worry about on that. So there you go. Bye-bye.